Greetings, students of California Studies. I want to give you a brief introduction to Module 3, Pre-Columbian California and Early Exploration of Alta California. I start with our California Trivia Quiz. This is a nice one. It's not done by me like the last one, but it's a nice one. It was built by the History Channel. I think it's student appropriate, meaning you could use it in class. Talking about that Christopher Columbus might not have been the first European, in the New World. And there's some added teacher materials, that you would do this around Columbus Day, of course. So that might be a nice, helpful one for you. The objectives for this module are basically aligned to the standards. I pretty much trimmed them out of there. The basically 4.2, our second standard here, 4.2. And there's a number of substandards, linked to them, which you can do at your own perusal. I talk a lot about timelines, and I've said it last module, and I do again today. Fourth graders, this is a perfect time to really get into them with timelines. There are some incredible resources from the Library of Congress in terms of their timelines. You can, get really fine-grained access to, things in their timelines. Sadly, they don't have a California-specific one, but that's something we might try to do, amongst us in class. I've been thinking about extra credit opportunities or something. A little more about how historians deal with the problem of history. His story, your story, my story. But I talk about that a little here. Finally, to get into the origins of California naming, there's a great map. Again, I go back to the Library of Congress, and I really encourage you to go directly to the Library of Congress site. Don't just look at my, the stuff in the book itself, but rather try to get really sharp. Look at all the stuff you can do with this map. These Library of Congress resources are incredible. So I do encourage you to dabble a little. A bit more about the history, how far the naming of California goes. The fact that it was first considered an island, actually. It was assumed to be an island rather than, what it is. They were coming from Mexico, and they saw Baja right here. And then they mentioned the Colorado River, but they didn't realize that this thing was actually not an island, but part of the mainland. Anyway, I'll leave that to you to read. So I have these task 1, which is read this article right here. And then task 2 at the end of the module is to watch a video and learn. And this is important. There's a video right here, okay? And you just click on this link, and it'll go to a video, which I'm not going to play right now. Oh, now there's an ad. I think within SkyPack they're enabling us to prevent you from seeing the ad. It's only, I think, 8 minutes. And it's important that I packed a lot into it. There's a lot, or I didn't pack a lot into it. The guy who wrote the video, it's very well researched, the good history, citations, and all that. What I did to help is I wrote the transcript for it and added some notes to the transcript. And you can see that right here, which I've linked to it. Transcript, I've highlighted the names and all that. I've added some extra stuff over here and extra outlinks to further expound upon some of these details. And I want to see how this goes for you. If this is not a good way to learn history, then I won't. But because this guy has done a couple of these videos, and I could use this approach from this guy, this cynical historian. But I really like what he did. He's a little quirky, but it's solid research. Little hint, the quiz for Module 3, all of the questions are based on this video, from this little 10-minute video. So do look at the notes a couple of times, or watch the video over and over, because there's a lot of good pictures on it and all that, before you take the quiz. Yeah. Okay, that's the gist of it. There's another article right at the end to illustrate a point. I just told you don't have to read this for the video, but the idea of this article is more some teacher ideas about how you could teach this in your class. One thing I want to talk about the syllabus for a second. This week in week 2 of our this module, instead of working on Canvas, we'll come back to instead of in SkyPack on week 1, we're back in Canvas for week 2, and what I want you to do is work on start collecting teacher resources. That's one of our activities, right? Every other week. One week you're working in SkyPack, reading the material. And the other week you're either discussing it online or you're building resources. And the resource material, that's the stuff here. So this week you're going to be building resources. The idea is you find things on the internet that would help you teach about California history. You save those links somewhere when you're Googling or whatever. And I'm not asking for many, I'm asking for 4, that in the end you can build those in together, and put them all together in a little package. Those same resources might be a key part, or 1 or 2 of them, in your lesson plan, which is kind of like a final paper for the class. And I have links to how I want the lesson plan. I'll talk about that later. I just want to focus for a minute on the resource building activity. If you see the hyperlink this goes to, basically I've rewritten what's said in the syllabus. This is all you need to do, this part right here, all right? And I've built one for you for this week. One of the resources I put, Snap, that's a perfect way to say that. One of the resources that I used for this module is linked right here. It's a nice video. And again, I just put it in the resources. You don't have to watch it, about indigenous Native Americans, the different types, the different regions and foods, and it gets, it's a nice video. It's 4 minutes. It's student appropriate. So it's not just a video for you to watch, but something you could show to students. I've written all that out here. The title, the fact that it's 4 minutes. I didn't write student appropriate, but I can add that here. Student appropriate. Yeah. And these are all basically, I've been doing this now for a long time, helping myself compile materials. So I can teach you how to teach California studies. It's a great habit to get in for yourselves. And now I'm kind of forcing you to do it with this assignment. But like I said, I think I write 100 words on this. And basically the URL and all that, down at the bottom is maybe the most important part of it. I jotted a few sentences on ideas you might have of how you could teach this. When last week's discussion board activity, there was a lot of good ideas that came out. Bravo to you all for thinking them up. Feel free to grab the ideas you had that you wrote, in the discussion board the week earlier and paste right in here. in terms of how you could use a particular material to teach a particular thought. I just jotted this down in 5 minutes, so it didn't take me too long. And I have 3 different ones here, and I just wrote them in different sentences. Okay, and so this is how it would look if you'd see the second page of that hyperlink. This is the one that I would think that you could just copy this, copy and paste this or duplicate this from Google Docs or something. I mean, you can, and then just fill out 4 of them. Again, for the semester, you're going to be filling out 4. Feel free to work ahead. You can build all of them on the missions. If you're really into the missions, which we're going to be doing next time. 4 great sources on the missions. You might then be thinking about your lesson plan, the actual lesson plan, final kind of paper thing, which you might want to build on the missions as well. And that's totally fine. You could, so you have a lot of freedom in terms of how you could work that out. Okay, that was kind of a long introduction to Module 3, but I hope you do enjoy. All the best.